only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to.
So Jeff, you look like you look like James Lipton with just like the very black background, and you're just sort of like,
Oh,
is it
this is my office.
what is your favorite word? Yes. All right,
Cloaca.
Eluaka. Okay, so
Cloaca. No, that was Robin Williams' favorite word.
Eluaka,
Cloaca.
cloaca,
Cloaca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
cloaca. Yeah.
It's the anus of a bird.
All right.
You never saw that episode
I
of
I don't think I've ever actually seen an episode of the James Lipton Variety Hour. So no, I don't. No.
I feel like I've seen the
Oh,
Will Ferrell version,
I
but
yeah, I was just gonna say I've seen the Will Ferrell version. I haven't seen
yeah.
actual James Lipton, and I have to
Oh,
say,
the Robin Williams one is just a masterpiece.
yeah, there's always something that I need to watch,
Yeah.
and only so many hours in a day that I'm
And,
awake.
and actually the Bradley Cooper one is pretty fun too because Bradley Cooper was a student at the Actors Studio
Oh,
and he was in the audience during I even think it was a Robin Williams one where he asked a question and then 15 20 years later he's actually back as a guest
hmm.
which
It,
was pretty impressive
he asked the question, "Why is there a tiger in my bathroom?"
because they fucked up.
Okay, well, now that that is out of the way, we have a very special episode, which I guess when you say a very special episode, when one says a very special episode, we think about, high schoolers taking caffeine pills to stay awake for whatever, but this is not that kind of episode. Is the reason that this is special is because it somewhat parallels with this new Fantastic Four movie. We are doing the Galactus Trilogy, which is Fantastic Four numbers 48, 49, and 50, otherwise known as 48 through 50, all released in the year 1966. And it introduces the Silver Surfer and Galactus. Um, I was actually, I was excited to read this one. I had never actually, I couldn't believe it when I was reading issue number 48 for this episode. I had the reprint. I knew the cover very well. I knew that that's when he made his debut. I started reading it and I realized, holy shit, I've never read this before. I never read the first appearance of Silver Surfer before this, so it was a brand new experience for me. And it was a fun one because Silver Surfer does not talk at all. He has no comic bubbles in the first appearance. In his second and third appearance, he talks a lot. But yeah, so the story basically goes issue number 48 closes, I guess, the story from issue number 47 about the Inhumans, and they're like, "Oh, we're doing a thing where we're producing this dome, and everyone who gets stuck inside the dome won't be able to leave for at least 10 issues." And that includes Johnny Storm's girlfriend, Crystal, who he was heartbroken for about 5 panels over and then kind of didn't mention again until the end of the story.
Right.
So that closes up issue number 47. Now we go into issue number 48 where the sky is on fire. And they're like, well, why is the sky on fire, but it's not hot? I don't understand what's going on. So, Johnny Storm goes out with the flame on, and they're like, oh, he must be the people on the street. They're like, he must be responsible. And then they hose him down, and, a whole bunch of ridiculous bullshit happens. Uh, the sky clears up, and then as soon as it clears up, it gets covered again with space rock. And they're like, oh, well, what the hell is going on here now? So Reed Richards is in his office and he's acting all like snippy with Susan Storm, his wife. She goes in. This was one of my favorite things. It reminded me kind of like a Family Guy thing, where she goes in and he's like, I really can't take any time off. And she goes, what's the reason for that? And then she looks to her left, and this enormous person, the Watcher, is there. She's like, oh, didn't realize he was in here in this room that is somehow big enough to fit the Watcher. So,
Right.
so he explains, he's like, I know I'm not supposed to interfere because I'm just the Watcher. It's my name, it's my destiny. But the human race and everything on the planet is in peril because I see the Silver Surfer, who is the herald of the Galactus, who is the person who needs to suck energy out of planets to sustain his own life, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Well, you forgot the most important part.
I was that.
That Reed grew a beard.
Well, Reed did grow a beard. It is just because he grew a beard in what, 5 hours? He went from
Listen, man.
he went from clean shaven to Ken in 5 hours.
It's all that
Hey.
testosterone.
That's it. Anyway, so yeah, it probably actually was the most important part. I'm probably not giving it enough importance. But anyway, so the Watcher says, I've been trying to cover the sky to conceal our planet from Silver Surfer, who's the herald of Galactus, and he goes and he looks for planets, and he's like, hey, Galactus, this planet over here. So Silver Surfer, he sees the planet anyway, and he goes in, he motions for Galactus, and they're like, oh shit, we're in trouble. Of course, Thing punches him in the face, knocks him off the building, right? And so so what happens then? Yeah, so that's the last we see of Silver Surfer for that issue. I think that's actually the end of the issue, because then it's like, hey, Galactus is here. You're dead shit in trouble. So that's the end of issue 48. Issue 49 continues.
John, I'd like to point out that it was a red Galactus that showed up.
I was
It was a red
gonna
Galactus.
say that.
Yes.
He had a quick costume change.
And
Printing
did he?
error.
Am I
Printing
correct
error.
in that he didn't have pants?
No, he does not.
Did they show him from the waist down, like from the bottom? Did they show the top of his
They
ass?
show no. It was like he was doing some kind of like combat pose, and he was wearing
Yeah.
some kind of like, it almost looked like Greek armor, where it has like the armored skirt, but then there's nothing covering the legs
I mean,
other than boots. Am I correct in that?
No,
No, he's
he
got
did-
pants on. He's got pants on.
does he have
Yeah,
pants on?
Yeah,
In the last panel of
the Christmas of the Christmas outfit.
Oh
he
no! So in
has.
that one, there were okay. So then this
Yeah.
is later. This is later then.
Oh, in the next issue, he does not have pants.
And
He
he's
is
purple.
pantsless.
That's-
He
okay,
kind of goes
right,
back
right,
and forth, but if
Exactly.
there's a little bit of an Easter egg in one of the panels on, like, in the very far background, you see a giant pair of pants covering the Empire State Building. Anyway, so
Also, one other thing, real quick, John.
yeah, go ahead.
I did a little bit of a deep dive on this red Galactus because I was like, "What the hell?" And
Okay.
I've heard about it before. I just never got it.
Yeah.
Never really read these issues either.
Mhm.
But apparently, they fixed this in reprints. He's
Yeah.
purple in all reprinted versions of this.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
so
love knowing that.
this is your red Galactus. He's not overtly not wearing pants. He's not necessarily wearing pants, but you can't tell. So anyway, we get
No,
into
in that one, he obviously has, some
Right.
kind of, like
He
yoga
does.
pants on. Or
Yeah,
something
yoga
like
pants.
that.
right, and then he goes from red to purple in the
Yeah.
first strip of the next issue, where like the
It's-
Watcher tries to.
It's the sun's radiation. We'll just say that.
You know what, man? He is not of this planet, so he doesn't follow the
Mhm.
rules of this planet. Sometimes
That's
he's
true.
wearing pants, sometimes he's red, sometimes he's purple.
Yeah, look, he
Yeah.
doesn't care.
He doesn't give a shit, man. Listen,
Right.
Yeah,
Hun-
what planet he shows up on, he's not always human either.
right? Honey
Right.
Badger don't give
And
a
it-
shit.
he
Give a fuck. This.
and sometimes he's just a big giant space cloud.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's
It's
also
fun.
one thing I was going to save for later, but this is something that's a common theme through a lot of Galactus stuff. His
Mhm.
scale really varies a lot.
It
And
does, yeah.
but they show it at times. That's just because a thing he does. It's a thing he does.
Right.
That he's
Mm.
like a penultimate to like some kind of god thing.
Well, you know, this
Um,
th this this particular story is actually they say that this is kind of a turning point in Marvel because it went just from, villains of this planet to now we have villains in from outer space. Yeah. So anyway, we move on with the story, and that's Galactus is here. He's saying, "I'm going to eat your planet like an apple." He doesn't actually do that. Uh, the Watcher explains how he destroys the planets. He like basically sets up a machine which sucks up all of the water, and it takes all the nutrients out of the planet. I guess he just takes it for himself, and he moves on. And they show this the planet view with no water. I guess I'm like, hey, well, that's what the planet would look like with no water, I suppose. But before all that starts happening, every member of the Fantastic Four tries to beat the shit out of him. Thing tries to clobber him, as his Aunt Petunia says, right? Johnny Storm tries to set him on fire. Nothing works. It's all. I guess the one thing that was like mildly effective was when Reed Richards turned himself into a ball and the thing hurled him at Galactus, and it sort of knocked him over, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, either way, so they all got beaten up and despondent, and so what happens is now they're in the bathroom. The thing is taking a bath. Reed is shaving. They're all very comfortable with each other, it would seem, and then they show Silver Surfer. He just happens to fall through the thing's girlfriend's
Alicia's.
Alicia, yeah.
Yeah.
But not everyone knows who Alicia is, but like, yeah, that's the thing's girlfriend, Alicia.
Yeah.
He just happens to fall through the window from when the thing punched him. And she does this whole thing where she's very caring and considerate. And she says, everyone deserves to live, everyone, blah, 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 blah. And the Silver Surfer is like, oh, maybe my whole life has been a lie. Which and no, it's so
It's
bizarre.
random.
Like just this one person with human emotions
Yeah.
gets through to the Silver Surfer, who is before that was nothing but basically a robot, like a cosmos surfer finding planets. So he's like, oh, I finally recognize beauty. So he goes,
And the funny thing is the
"Hmm?
entire set of scenes where Norin is in Alicia's apartment.
Mhm.
I'm like, listen, bitch, you got a boyfriend. Like, you're
Yeah.
like, stop fawning over this guy.
Um,
Is
well,
is kind of what I was thinking. I'm like, man, this
I
is weird. I mean, I know it was the '60s and all, but
Well,
dang.
I agree, but I feel that Alicia, while she doesn't have superpowers, she is one of the most she can see people's souls without eyes,
Yeah,
and she's
she is
like,
very empathetic. That is
hmm
that is 100%
right,
true. Like that is a character trait that
hmm
has kept has been established and has stayed throughout her
yes.
entire thing. Yeah.
So, yeah, and he's doing all this thing. He's like, "Oh, you eat food? You have a statue in your house?" He's like, "I'm just going to take all of these things, and eventually Galactus is going to do everything, the same thing with all of the energy molecules on the planet." And she goes, "You mean you're going to destroy the planet? I can't believe you would do such a thing." And, so basically that
Clutch
kind of
those pearls.
yeah, she's like,
Tonight.
oh, I did, I never. So,
Yep.
so, so
How
uh,
dare you?
it's at this point where Galactus is setting up his machine on the top of the Baxter building, right? And
Right.
I guess it's the only building big enough to fit the machine. So what happens
Yeah.
is, Galactus is like, all right, here we go. I'm setting up my machine. We're gonna suck all the energy out. What? It's not working? What happened? The thing broke it, right? He's like, "Oh,
Right.
you fool, I can create another one in just minutes." And he goes, "Yeah, you think I'm not gonna destroy that one too?" So anyway, it's at this point, I think it was in issue two, the second issue of three,
49.
49, where the Watcher says that the Human Torch is the only
No,
person capable of going to get the one machine that's capable of stopping
no, it's
Galactus.
49.
Is 49,
It's the
yeah.
same. It's the same issue. Yeah.
Two of three, yeah. Um, so he says, "Oh, the Human Torch is the only person capable of doing this." So he sends the Human Torch to the other side of the universe. And this is what confused me. I might have mentioned this in the chat or whatever. The universe is um large. It's a lot of, space, several billion light years. And Human Torch was able to travel to the other side of the universe in less than a day and back, I might add. And get the machine. You know what? I guess physics doesn't really matter that much in
Oh.
in these series. So he goes, he finds Galactus's planet, which is just a giant weird like Dr. Seuss building. He goes and they don't show him getting the thing, so he comes back and he's like, "We're like ants. I can't believe how small we are
Right.
compared to the rest of the universe." Right? So
You know what that whole scene reminded me of is that scene in Contact where Jodie Foster is she went through the machine and she's traveling through the wormhole and she's seeing all like the really beautiful things about the universe and she's just crying saying I had no idea. That's exactly what I thought Johnny Storm was doing. Like
yeah.
it was the exact
Well,
same thing.
I guess to be fair, this did predate that, but
Yeah.
yeah. So maybe that was an homage to this comic.
Maybe.
So
Who knows?
anyway, so Johnny Storm comes back. I think that's at the beginning of issue 50. He comes back and he's like, "Oh, I can't believe we're like ants." And Reed Richards is like, "Okay, here, I'll take the machine that you got, which is this tiny thing that fits in a normal sized human's hand." I don't know how Galactus like had this thing would be like this tiny little whatever.
Right.
Um, so what happens there?
Well, you
So,
you forgot the first you forgot the introduction of the Punisher.
oh my God! You know what? Okay, okay. I'm
No, that was ridiculous.
I
That
I
was
I
who
prefer
was not paying attention when they did
I
that.
prefer to pretend that part never happened because it's
Yeah.
the whole story, as much as I poke fun at it for the weird physics and like the
Yeah.
emotions involved, it is a very good story. The Punisher was like this ridiculous seam in the middle of the story. It was like
Yeah.
a frog robot. And
Right.
he's like, okay. And then, oh, Galactus says, "You've done your job. Back on the ship now." I'm like, why did they put that in there? What was the point of that?
They didn't
It
really
was
up.
He didn't do anything. He's like, "Oh,
right.
this is the first appearance of the Punisher," and I'm like, well, I prefer that to be Spider-Man 129, but you know what?
Mhm.
Fine. Anyway,
I liked how he could grab the floor with
uh-huh.
his feet so hard that he like tore the whole floor up when
Yeah.
they threw him.
Yeah.
I was like that's kind of cool, I guess. You can, but yeah,
Uh-huh.
for
Okay.
sure, huh?
So, all right. So what's happening now is that Johnny Storm has the machine. Silver Surfer has now been convinced by, in like a 20-minute conversation with this blind woman that he should battle Galactus and, don't even give a shit, don't be his herald anymore. Uh, he puts him, he's a very powerful being, Silver Surfer. He's able to put Galactus in a cocoon, which temporarily, I guess, stops him just for a small bit before he breaks out. Um, and then what happens is, I think that's when Johnny Storm comes back, and because he's all emotional and like freaking out about how small we are compared to the universe, he's like, "Oh, this must be the machine that you're talking about." He goes, "Okay, I got it. It's called the Ultimate Nullifier." Now, my guess is that this is the first appearance of the Ultimate Nullifier, which I love the Ultimate Nullifier because it nullifies things ultimately. It's great. So so Galactus says, "You fool, don't touch that. Even the slightest thing will, destroy blah 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 blah." So he goes, "Okay, fine. You return the ultimate nullifier to me, and I will leave this planet." The Watcher says, "Galactus's word is bond, man." So yeah, put it back in his hand,
Better
and
trust him.
yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. So he returns the ultimate nullifier. Galactus leaves, and we get this story about now Johnny Storm is going to college, and like, what the fuck is this? Why is this at the end of this story? I
It
don't.
was the same way that the story started, finishing off another one.
Yeah,
It
I
was
mean,
very they kind of it's like a good way to get you back every month. Like
it'll get you back, I suppose. What's the guy's name?
uh,
The guy's name that he met.
Wingfoot.
Wingfoot. Yeah, so he
Yeah,
meets Wingfoot. They sort of become friends. I think it's kind of implied he doesn't really trust him, but he's not showing that outwardly. And then that's where everything ends. It's the
right.
start of a new story.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
So
and you forgot the uh tension between Sue and Reed. Like
yeah,
every other panel, it's like,
yeah,
oh, you're ignoring me. I love you, darling. Oh, but you hate me. You're ignoring me. You're always
yeah.
like, oh my God.
I
Like I know
thought
this was the '60s, but
yeah.
holy shit.
Well, I thought that in the beginning when Reed was actually acting like a dick toward her,
Yeah,
where I'm like, dude, that doesn't seem like him. He must be under some kind of mind control. I
sure.
thought that was going to be, but he's like, no, he's working with the Watcher on covering the sky. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, for some reason you can't tell your wife about this, who
I
is
know.
on your superhero team.
But you know what?
Yeah.
But here, that's another one of those things that is a constant theme with those two.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that is a core part of their relationship for decades,
Yeah.
where like Reed ignores her and she gets all, which, listen, uh, if I ignored my wife the same way too, she would be pissed at me. So I understand, like
Hmm.
Reed's being an asshole to her, but it's like it doesn't get resolved. Like it's just a constant thing between dude, they need couples therapy
They they sure do.
desperately, those two do.
It's like she doesn't understand. I have to save the world constantly. She's on your team, though. It's the
Right, I know,
fantastic.
I know.
Yeah, it's the Fantastic Four, not the Fantastic Three and Reed Richards'
Right.
wife. You know, like
I know
they.
it.
So anyway,
And she is smart in her own right too. Like she
yes,
has a lot to offer. So like if he would just trust her, like seriously, man, come on.
yeah. It's funny though because the way that she talks, and they all have their own way of talking. The way that
Yeah.
she talks is like this very damsel in distress kind of thing. She goes,
Yeah.
"What's she?" It's always, "What's going to happen, Reed? What's going to
Yeah,
happen?" Like,
right.
okay, yeah, like anyway, all right. So Jeff Howell, aka
Hi.
Turd Ferguson, what
Hi.
hi. You are our special guest, which I forgot to introduce in the beginning, but
Sorry.
You are Jeff Howell. Um, what are your like just kind of over the three issues, what are your thoughts and views on this?
Jack Kirby's art is goated.
Greatest of all time?
He absolutely is, man. Like I
Okay.
know it's he has set the standard for just basic comic anatomy. Um, I had this book growing up as a kid. It was called Drawing Comics the Marvel Way,
Hmm.
and it was all Jack Kirby's art and his techniques of how to create. And so, I mean, outside of the story, like just in real life, this stuff had never been seen before. This kind of superhero stuff. And for Jack to just be the guy that created all of this, and he set the template that every artist in every Marvel issue going forward has used the basic anatomy and templates that Jack Kirby created. Like, dude, Jack Kirby's awesome. Um, as far as the story goes, like, I mean, obviously you can tell that this was the '60s, man.
Yeah.
it's very, like villains speak about themselves in third person.
And their heralds.
Stories and their heralds, yeah.
Yeah.
Stories don't seem to match up because in issue 48, you've got the last of issue 47
Mhm.
for a couple of panels, and then when it ends in 50, it's like almost an entirely new comic. And I just think that they just needed to fill pages, and so they're like as John said, or not John,
Ken?
Red Galactus
Oh,
said
Jason.
later, Jason, it was like, hey, they just wanted you to come back, so they left you with a cliffhanger, which I totally understand.
Yeah.
But as far as using this as the introduction to Galactus, it seemed very. I mean, listen, back if I read this as a kid back in the 60s, I probably would have my mind would have been blown because you made a good point earlier about up until now, very few comics or very few issues had cosmic interactions,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I know the Watcher was an established character before this. And I can't remember exactly where Doctor Strange came out. I think it was around the same era.
He was, I think it was 65, 66, something like that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was somewhere in here. Like
Yeah.
he had just been established. I mean, so there were Marvel was just starting to get outside of the confines of the planet,
Mhm.
and then bringing in these powerful cosmic entities. This was way before the Eternals. This was way before the Celestials and all that stuff. But it brought a sense of scale. I think that now, while you made the good point that Johnny Storm went from to the ends of the universe in a day, which just is not plausible whatsoever, but through the conduit of Johnny Storm, we were able to experience and realize that okay, Marvel doesn't the Earth 616,
Mhm.
the universe that the Marvel comics exist in are not limited to just this ball, this one planet. Like
Right.
now all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, we've got infinite amount of characters, possibilities, storylines. Like so if you're I mean, we're seeing this from a different lens because to us it's like that's lame or it's you know, kind of yawn because we've seen this stuff for so long. But
Mhm.
trying to put myself into the position of a 10-year-old kid from the 60s, dude, this would just be like mind bending.
Yeah.
And I think that while you kind of see the sense of scale and it's a little bit campy, I mean, it was the 60s, right?
Sure.
But the way that the table was set and the unlimited possibilities were now established here
Mhm.
where not only can you have characters that seem real, grounded, genuine, because listen, Spider-Man was here already. Steve Lee or Stan Lee has been on record saying he wanted a kid with real problems to make him more grounded and more human. All of those characters have that same thing. Sue Storm and Reed Richards coming, like fighting back and forth about their marriage because Reed's ignoring her. Real, genuine human problem.
Mhm.
So you roll those genuine human problems and that ability to relate to those humans on a basic level if, as a reader. Now all of a sudden you have that human connection, and now the writers are taking you to something much more fantastic.
Or.
No pun intended, right? So it's like I'm just looking again from the perspective of a new reader in the 60s. This would have blew my mind.
I did leave out one thing though, that the Thing let his emotions get the better of him, and he thought that he lost Alicia to the Silver Surfer,
That was silly.
even though Alicia was like, "Oh, you have to meet Ben Grimm, the most
Right.
wonderful man in the entire world. Where is he?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, Alicia don't want me no more. Who would
That's
want it? Who would want to be with a big rocky guy?" So,
yeah.
all right, okay, um, and
Ben and his self-doubt, man. Like that was a thing he struggled with for
yeah.
so long. I'm like, bro, give it a rest. You're being so emotional.
Well, he emotional. Well, they pick it up in the next issue He's like standing in the rain.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, can you talk? Or
Yes,
is it just
absolutely. I'm good to go.
all
So
right?
for me, when I
Yes.
cracked this open and started reading, I kind of had the same feelings as you, John. I was like, man, I've never read this before. What the
Hmm.
hell? I guess just as like a longtime Marvel reader, just this whole story is just it's like part of you at this point. It's been retold so many times. It's been retconned so many times.
Hmm.
They've gone in and told smaller stories in between what's happened in these issues so many times. We've gotten origins of Norrin Rad over the years, like before he even met Galactus. So for me, I was like, I know all this, but man, I've just never read it. And
Mhm.
kind of like what Jeff was saying, like if I was a kid in the '60s, my mind would have been just exploding all over the place. The artwork, just incredible. Everything about Jack Kirby, so good. I mean, every single panel just brought out different feelings. It was just really cool to just look at as while you were reading it. But yeah, just the story itself. Like I said, I feel like we all just kind of know it at this point, just because it's been told to us so many times over the years as comic fans. That it was just really cool just to finally sit down and just read it, for what it was and get the real true story behind it. And
Yeah.
definitely enjoyed this one. I'm so glad that you chose this.
Yeah.
I am too, and I remember I forget the exact circumstances, but there was one thing that we were supposed to do, and it was like, oh, um, we we needed to switch gears, or like we thought we were going to need to switch gears. So I said, well, why waste the podcast? Why don't we do the Galactus trilogy? And it was decided that there wasn't enough time to read all three issues, because we were like it was going to be later that night. So I was like, all right, well, let's see what happens. And I think the original episode went as scheduled, but we didn't know if we were going to actually do it that way. Um, okay. So Ken, nullified Radner.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
How was your
You
day?
know, it was well,
It was
and
it was well.
it was well, and it shall not be spake of, thus saith Galactus.
Aha.
I always liked the concept of this, that they introduced into this the idea that Galactus is somewhat kind of like a force of nature,
Hmm.
that he doesn't really deal with just like relating with things on a basic level. And
He's not a
when
he's not a real villain. He's just very matter of fact, but dangerous, like a
yeah,
hurricane.
right. Well, and I actually liked the point at the end that when he makes the deal with Reed, and he's like, it's my word, and they're like, you must not question Galactus's word. And I was like, oh, okay. That that's always fun when it shows you they may be technically, like you said, technically a villain, but
Hmm.
they will they will stand by their word, which
Sure, yeah.
that's usually what a villain isn't. So they're more of an antagonist, I suppose.
Villain's a liar.
He's just trying to eat, man. He's not a villain.
Yeah, that's what I
He's
mean
hungry.
too. So right, so it's like that's the other thing too. There's so much about this, and just like, I mean, Jason said a lot of it. It's just the basic concepts that were introduced with Galactus in this were just, I guess, so great in their core that there was really no need to change it, and it just got reiterations to it. One thing that I found was funny was that, anybody that knows about Fantastic Four stuff from, like, the 80s or 70s knows that, like, Ben Grimm always spoke with this really, really thick, affected, like Brooklyn, New York accent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
The other Fantastic Four, not so much, but in a couple of these comics, Johnny has some of that accent in the way that he's talking. And what I thought was funny was that when I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, Johnny's got a little bit of that, like, New York accent too. I was like, they did that in Deadpool.
Wait, what do you mean?
When Chris Evans was
Oh
playing
yeah.
Johnny Storm, he was
Ah.
speaking with like this thick, really
Yep.
like New York accent, especially when he started ranting.
Yep.
Hmm.
He was doing
Yeah.
like a
Well,
lot of
you're
thick,
right.
and I was like,
He
wait a
did.
minute, Johnny Storm with the New York accent? And then I
He
read
did.
this and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, at the beginning of the first issue, where he was trying to like flame on while the sky was quote unquote on fire, and then they like extinguished him with a hose. He goes, "Oh, you could have busted my neck," which is, I guess that's the kind of thing that a New Yorker would say. You could have busted
Yeah,
my
kind
neck.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's other stuff too though, like when they use the apostrophes in weird places to abbreviate the words
Yeah.
that usually Ben does. I think Johnny did one or two of those.
Yeah, Ben likes to throw out the Yancey Street every now and then.
Yeah, he's a big fan of talking about the Yancey.
I love,
You know,
yeah, Ben's dialogue or monologue or whatever you want to call it sometimes gets a little confusing. Like he said, "Oh, if we're gonna have to tackle him," and it's spelled one word, Haveta, and
Yeah.
I was like, "What's Haveta tackle?" And I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, I
have
see.
to,
Yes,
have
have
to.
to
Have to.
tackle. Yeah,
You're gonna have to.
That's another genius thing about Stan Lee, though, is that
right."
he he really tried hard to write his dialogue in a way that fit, but had certain accent qualities to it. Like,
It was almost like screenwriting in a way.
yeah,
I
yeah,
give him,
exactly.
I
He
give him,
wanted to convey the
yeah.
accent, just like you said.
Mhm.
I give him
Yep.
very good credit because, all of his characters have their own way of talking. And,
Mhm.
it's one thing to have it in a movie or in a cartoon, like a, animated cartoon, but to actually give people their own way of talking in a comic book, that's pretty
Mhm.
impressive. And he
Yeah.
he kept it pretty consistent with all the characters. So, um, was that it, Ken, or do you have more? That's
Um, I mean, that was about it. I just, I've said it before when we've done other ones like this. The cosmic stuff always gets me. This is so now this era of comics, is this Bronze or Silver Age?
this
This
So
is this is Silver Age.
this is
This
Silver
is
Age.
Yeah, no,
okay.
Bronze Age comes along, I think, in like the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this is Silver Age. Silver Age is from.
and we've been in the
Bro-
modern era for almost 40 years.
Well, we're never
No.
not going to be in the modern era, so
I know, but you would think
Yeah.
that at some point they'd cap it off and be like, the 90s is now like, I don't know, quartz or
yeah,
something.
No,
Mhm.
but that was
grunge
the big
rock.
difference because you notice, yeah, I mean, anyone would notice immediately reading a comic of this style and then like the earlier like golden age stuff we were reading,
Mhm.
you could see that they now understand some of their audience has grown a bit
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they want something a little more intriguing than earlier when it was like, I'll take care of this and get my robot duplicate.
Right.
Golden
So,
Age.
Well,
you know,
So Golden Age,
Sillier.
I would
Sillier
say,
time.
yeah.
that one of the defining factors of Golden Age, and I'm sure there's plenty more to it than this, but one of the major things, superhero Golden Age, everything is so convenient. Everything is
yeah.
so conveniently resolved. It's like, oh no, we have a big monster. You know what? All right, I'm gonna make this part of the ground soft so he'll sink. Yay, we win.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry, you were saying, Jeff?
I was going to say that there's yeah, I agree with you about the plot devices are very convenient, and in the Silver Age there is some of that as well. I mean,
Mhm.
like with the immobilizer thing that Galactus had, the the beauty of this era, and it carries over to many extents into different eras, but there's always this running thread of unresolved issues, right? Whether it be you don't necessarily defeat a villain completely, right? Because
Mhm.
it isn't monster of the week. And a lot of this actually started back in with Detective Comics with like Batman, because Joker originally was just going to be a one-off.
He was supposed to
And
get killed in the first
he was
issue, and then
supposed to just be a
they
one-off.
they brought him back
And
in the same issue. I'm
right.
sorry. I'm sorry. Go
But
ahead.
no, you're fine. But the beauty of that was that sort of was the beginning of, okay, let's have villains that don't get knocked off so we can maintain them and build their character.
Hmm.
And in this era here with the Silver Age, it's like very similar to that. Galactus isn't necessarily quote unquote defeated. It's just they agree that he's going to stop his shit and go somewhere else. And that gives the writers the opportunity to reuse and repurpose and bring back these characters multiple
Mhm.
times for various reasons, which freaking love, because that was a very drastic change to how comics were written back in the golden age. It was just you had these 10, 12, 13, 15-year-old kids buying these comics, 10 cents, whatever. Villain of the week, hero does the thing, defeats the baddie, convenient plot devices,
Mhm.
next issue, whatever, same thing. Here it's like, well, you've got to buy issue 47 to see the Inhumans. And
Mhm.
then, oh, wait a minute. You got to buy issue 48 now to see how that's resolved. And all of a sudden, oh, here's Galactus. And then we got to buy the next three issues for that. And then
Soap
all of a
opera.
sudden,
Yeah.
then Johnny's at Metro College and like, well, how does that resolve? So I got to buy issue 51.
Yeah. And what they do with that, they give you very, very brief like recaps. Like they'll say
Yeah.
something in the dialogue and there'll be like a star next to it and be like, "Oh,
Mhm.
in issue whatever,
Right.
47, 48." So, yeah. Was that it? I'm sorry.
Nah, you're good, man.
But okay. Um, so what I have seen in stories like this where human beings on Earth are dealing with these enormous figures who come and they see Earth as this tiny little thing, and the human population is compared to an ant colony. It's like nothing. Hey, I'm hungry. There's ants. Fine, I'll eat it. Um, what I always find very fascinating about these kinds of stories is that humans are able to get through to these cosmic entities on
Yeah.
a human level. It's
Yeah.
like, but they're not human. It doesn't work that way, or at least it shouldn't work that way, because it's like they are completely different things. It's as if an ant is going to get through to me on an ant level. I'm like, oh my God, I see the error of my ways. Hey, let's be best friends. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And so you do have to suspend a certain amount of disbelief. And I guess what they're saying through this storytelling device is don't take it at face value. Because if you do, you're going to have a conversation like the one I'm having right now, where it's like they keep making reference to the fact that the human population is nothing. They're specks in my way of devouring this planet. But somehow a tiny little speck of a human being has this device that can blow me up. I'm like, hey, how come that device wouldn't be bigger? But, I guess you're not supposed to take it at face value. You're supposed to see it as some kind of symbolism, as symbolic. So, you know, uh, it's just something that always occurs to me in these kinds of things. I saw it in The Good Place, the Ted Danson show. I see it a lot in Marvel Comics. And I always think about it. It's like why is it happening on a human level for people who are so much more advanced than humans?
And people like you, John, become the next writers for these series. And 20 years later, they go and say, this really bothered me. And when I write my story about Fantastic Four, I'm going to fill in these gaps and I'm going to explain to you why Galactus actually felt this way. And we get a Galactus origin many years down the road. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? Some of this might actually make sense now.
Anyone who has seen my drawings will know that I'm not in a place to be. I mean, maybe I could write some dialogue. Maybe I could do
No
that,
doubt.
but I can't draw it. No, that's not going to work for me. Anyway,
Just
uh
saying, those questions have been asked. And,
mhm.
that's why these new writers come up
Question
with these new answers for us.
questions are asked.
Mhm.
That's why Superman, that's why Clark Kent's glasses has have that effect on people in the new movie. So, it never happened
Hypno.
that way before. Never happened
Nope.
that way before, but
That was a really cool explanation, though. I hadn't really thought about it that way
Finally.
before.
Finally,
I
a good explanation.
you know what? It was almost a little disappointing now I can't make fun of it anymore,
Oh,
because
nah, I get it.
everyone makes fun of it, but now they're like, nah,
Mhm.
yeah, the glasses make you look different. Nah. So, okay.
Well, yeah, but it was Guy Gardner. Who gives a shit what he has to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Were you guys expecting the Nullifier to show up in the Fantastic Four movie? I would definitely. For me, I was kind of in the back of my mind. I was like, "Is
I
this gonna
Yeah.
somehow
So,
appear in the
yeah.
last half an hour here?"
I was not, and only because I read the comic after I saw the movie.
Mhm.
So, I was like, I will say this about the movie without spoiling any of it. Galactus looks freaky as shit in the
Yeah, they
Yeah.
movie.
did a good job.
Yeah.
They did a
In
good
Well
job
done.
with him.
in the comic, yeah, sure, he's a lot bigger than everyone else, but he's a cartoon, so he basically just looks like a dude.
He
In the
gets
Yeah.
movie,
drawn
Without
better and
pants.
better over the
yeah,
years.
yeah, but without pants, right? But in the movie, they show him just towering over the New York City skyline, like
Yeah,
this
he's
the
a
New York,
kaiju.
yeah, the New York City skyline is basically like building blocks compared to him, and I say they did a really good job of making it look that way, and he actually looked, menacing, intimidating, and all that stuff that you don't want, and that's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to spoil the movie for anyone if they haven't seen it. Closing thoughts, anyone?
I think we all nailed
Uh,
it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was interesting how in these first iterations of Galactus, he has a big G on his chest.
Like Superman.
I was just like, yo, G. And then I'm like,
He's the
oh,
OG.
okay.
The
Okay, exactly.
Yeah,
So
the
then I'm like,
cosmic being who has
yep.
absolutely no affiliation with Earth whatsoever uses
But there's a G.
the English alphabet on his
Yeah.
chest. I love
I
it.
know.
I do,
It's
yes.
yeah. Look, it was, it was fun, and it was obviously, people loved it
Yeah.
because I was not. Here's the thing: I wasn't expecting to see the nullifier in the new movie, but when I did, I wasn't like shocked.
Hmm.
I was just like, oh, okay, the nullifier, obviously,
They
because it goes with the story. It's just part of the
Mhm.
lore. So,
well they
but
made
yeah,
I'm sorry. I was gonna say
no, no, go ahead.
they made excellent use of the nullifier in what was it, Infinity War? Was that it? The last
Yeah,
one
that's
that we
right.
Infinity
They
War,
brought it
right?
back for the Infinity War. Yeah.
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 That's it.
I
So,
think the Nullifier even gets its own like first appearance credits in like some of these. Like if you go look online, like first appearance of Galactus, Silver Surfer. The next one is actually
and
it says
Ultimate
first appearance
Nullifier.
of the
Yes.
Nullifier.
They do, and that's
All right.
why I love the MCRO website because it's like, oh, when did this first appear? And they
Mhm.
tell you the first appearance of all the cosmic cubes and all that stuff, and I'm like, hey, cool. And they didn't all show up at the same time, which I think is really interesting. So, all right.
So this was actually well timed for me because I saw the movie last week,
Mhm.
and then over the next few days after that, my family had me watch all the other Fantastic Four movies, which
I'm
I
so
told them,
sorry.
please don't. They're like,
Yeah,
we should watch the other ones. And I
they're
go, no,
not
we
good.
shouldn't.
They're not
We
good.
really shouldn't. And we
Yeah.
watch, so like we watched those, and then I read this. So, I've had like this big infusion of, Fantastic Four media over like the last week or so. And what I have to say out of all of that, so we watched the movie, and then I had them watch an episode of like the 1970s or 1960s
1960s
cartoon.
cartoon. Yeah.
So I go, you see what they were doing? You see why I was laughing so loud when they
Mhm.
showed that? Because like I used to watch that when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was, so I think that the movie did, even though it did get a little bit silly at times and stuff, I think it was the best iteration, the
I
most
agree.
faithful
100%. Yeah. Yeah, for
No,
sure.
that they've
no,
done. And they,
Uh-oh.
they didn't go too far.
Turd Ferguson has something to say
no.
about this.
You know what? You know what
Okay.
the best iteration of the Fantastic Four was?
The 1990 movie.
94, the 1994 film.
The Roger Corman one.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm totally messing with you. I'm totally kidding. No,
All right.
the 2025 iteration of the MCU was like
Yeah.
by far the best.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was, I just think, the most faithful and the most, I think,
I
you'll
just
get the greatest amount of
yeah
people that will agree
And
that
the
they
setting
enjoyed
too,
it.
making it in like an alternate 60s
in
or
the
50s was
60s.
Yeah, that
great.
was
I
great. Yeah,
just
the aesthetic of it was
yeah.
fantastic. That was genius, and they
I
pulled
just
it
thought
off very well.
I just thought that I mean just the story like the storytelling was the most captivating out of all of them. Like I couldn't get into the other movies, but this one it's not just about the story, it's about the way that the story is told, and this one was very good. It held my attention for 2 hours and very
Mhm.
nice. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, I say let's get into some plugs. So Jeff Howell, uh, you just started a new thing on a podcast, didn't you? And you can plug.
Well,
Yes.
yes. Yeah. Well, it is. I'm taking over with Ken an existing podcast called Star Trek: The Undiscovered Podcast, and I'm so thrilled to be able to doing a season 4 with my buddy Ken, where we will co-run and co-host 16 episodes starting in February of 2026, and you can find it on any of your podcast platforms. But if you want to find me over social media, the best place to find me is on TikTok, JeffL1976, and please go to Instagram and follow Star Trek: The Undiscovered Podcast and get some traction over there. That's where you can find more information about the podcast, all things Star Trek, and have a good time interacting with people there. And again, really excited. Thank you so much, guys, for having me
Of
on
course.
this show.
Yes.
And I always love talking about comics.
All
Love
right.
it.
And we love talking with people who love talking about comics. It's a it's a pretty good give and take relationship on a podcast about comic books. It's a
True.
very good coincidence. All right, Jason, how about you?
All right, so you guys can find me on Facebook, Jason, last name Gurin, Gurin. I'm a member over at our admin over at Comic Book Villains. Good place to come and talk about comics, just nonsense comics, pretty much anything in that vicinity. And I think I'm going to be beaming down to the lower decks this coming year. So I'll see you guys on that podcast over there.
You
The
will.
Star
Cool.
Trek.
Great, yeah.
You will.
Uh
Yeah, first episode of season 4.
oh, the
Sweet.
first one. Wow. And Ken, how do you feel about that?
So I have to catch up on Lower Decks. I have a interesting relationship with Lower Decks, which I think a lot of people felt about it in the beginning. I'm not quite sure how to feel about it. So I'm still wrestling with that, but I'm powering through. I like the characters and I like what they're doing, and I'm not sure how to articulate everything else just yet. So
Which
we're
we
going to
will
save
find
that
all
for
about on season
yeah.
4 of Star Trek: The Undiscovered Podcast in February of 2026.
That's February 2026. And Ken,
Yes.
what other things have you to speak of
Well, you
yourself?
you can find me on the Books of Face at KenRadner, which I am there. I have an Instagram, I think, and a I don't know. I don't even care about those and I don't even look at
Okay.
them, so forget about it. It's not like I even monitor them, so even if I listed them here, it would be useless to anybody.
Glad you
Uh,
mentioned it then.
We'll
Yeah.
just give
yeah.
out your
So
phone number. That way people could just reach you right
yeah,
away.
Perfect. Great.
that'll
Awesome.
work.
Yes.
And like Jeff said, everything with Star Trek. I won't repeat and bore everybody with that. And then I have a whole subsidiary of podcasts that John's going to go over,
Yes.
and and then there's this one right here, right now.
Right. So be sure to listen to Ken's podcast. Ken Radner Has No Pants. No, that's not a real podcast, although it should be.
It
It
should
should
be.
be.
He's like
And
Galactus.
Yep.
Ken is okay.
Just bring the camera down more, Ken.
Bring the camera down and maybe move the microphone just in front of you, just enough so that we can actually still show this video. All right.
Show the world.
Show the world the video. All right. So anyway, yeah. On Facebook, I'm John Seymour, JON space SEYMOUR. That's me on Facebook. I am still Ken has a Gatorade Zero. I am still pointing at the camera with a gold background. You can't miss it. It's perfect. Of course, listen to This Podcast is Lamb Chops, which is a subsidiary of Bullshit Hour with John Seymour. The last episode we did was the Alex Winter movie Freaked, which I am still recovering from, of course. But, it was worth it for the episode. It was a great one that we did. And, of course, Keith Bliss was also part of that panel, and it was a great discussion. Great thing to talk about. The next episode of The Hour of Comics is upon us will be the first issue of the new Batman series that just came out on September 3rd. Greg Vorod will be joining us for that panel. And I haven't read it, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Yes, it's good. Come see Chris Cyanide in Nyack at Club Andromedon on October 11th. That will be at 10 p.m. It's like a bit of an early Halloween show. A lot of fun, bass, drums, and violin. Very interesting, very unique kind of music. Ken will gush over how good we are as a band. I will gush over how terrible I am of a musician, and just, what, come out and decide for yourself. And Jason and Ken are both shaking their heads like they don't agree with what I'm saying. So
you guys were awesome.
We were awesome. By the way, Ken and Jason have seen us. Yes, Ken.
I'm gushing right now. Medically.
We just can't see it because the microphone is covering it.
You might need to see a doctor about that.
Mm-hmm. And
I definitely do need to do that. Yes.
Yes. And come see my other band, My Haunted Past, the more traditional 80s metal kind of band. We are playing at the Village Pub in Long Island. That's going to be November 8th. It is a fundraiser for research of ALS, otherwise known as Lou Gehrig's disease. And come by. There's a lot of fun bands. We have a Primus tribute band called Pudding Time, which is, it's also a lot of fun. If for no other reason, come out to see Pudding Time, because I've seen videos. I haven't seen them in person, but they are very good. I am good friends with their drummer. And I guess that will be all. So it just remains for me to say good night, Ken, good night, Jeff, and good night, Jason. Good night, everyone.
Good
Good night.
Good night.
I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to four.